Greetings. Welcome to Her Faith Corner. I'm here for a short devotional thought. I was reading Genesis 11 in the building of the Tower of Babel, and it says that in 11:4, one of the portion, it says that let us make for ourselves a name. So we see here during the construction of Tower of Babel, one of the rabbis who talks about the historical frame of reference at that time was mentioning that when the brick was getting transported, as the stories of the Tower of Babel was getting increased, um, during that time, people gave much priority to the fact that the brick should not be broken and it has to reach its destiny without any breakage. But even at the cost of, let's say, a person fell off to death, and they didn't mind that, but they insisted on making sure the work was done more perfectly. So the principle that we see here is man, in wanting to build a utopian society, gives priority to perfection than a person, a capacity of the person, performance over the person's ability. So it's nothing wrong to expect perfection or performance, but how do we enable them is what that matters before God. No wonder this caused God to step down to bring in confusion, and there was a great blessing. I was thinking that, yes, where this principle do I apply in my life? And I was just thinking, where all do I put perfection over a person's capacity? And I did realize that many places. So to begin with, say, I quote a small one, say, my little child wants to come and help me in the kitchen. There is an insignificant help the kid is able to contribute in the kitchen, but in the midst of more mess and more time taking place for me. So many a times, no condemnation, many of us as moms would always want to say, oh, rather than your help, I think it's better you can step out and I can do things more faster. But what we really don't get to see is the joy of participation of that child that makes a lot of difference to that child's capacity. And this is not just in the case of a child alone. It could be like handing over a responsibility to a teenager or to a person who constantly procrastinate. I think many a times we feel it's better that let me only do the job than getting the work done through them. But we see that God, as He is working baby steps in them, in working towards perfection or good performance, at the same time, God also wants us to take the baby steps of working patience in us. He wants us to take those baby steps. Because in working patience in us, I think so, the capacity of the person to whom we have given a chance to do always increases. I'd like to wrap it up with surely a personal testimony in my life that in the initial homeschooling days of our children, the house wasn't kept so clean, and because we were in a transition of education and setting up the home, and perfection was many a times expected, and but the outcome was always that there was never that expected output from our side. And I eventually realized that my husband came alongside, he stooped low, he condescended, and without even a word of condemnation, I saw him come and help us, scoop us out of this by he himself helping us to set up the home and help us in many places which was not his place. But in him doing that, it created such a capacity in us as family that, hey, wow, without saying a word, someone has worked that, performed that duty, or like, expect what was expected was met. And in giving grace, if you can say the word, worked in so much of capacity in us that till date we make sure that the house is kept nice and crisp and clean, because I think it began with that one act of coming alongside, stooping low and helping, building in a capacity. So I think that when we work with people as, say, moms or as teachers or as wives or as even team heads, may we realize as ladies that we would never highlight perfection and performance, but rather we can stoop low to enable that person, and so that a capacity can be worked in them so that the desired perfection and performance would eventually come into the person. And I think that is what glorifies God. Thank you so much.